Hi, I'm Robert Yeager here. Behind me is the beautiful city of Boulder, Colorado. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about a new class we're trying to offer at the CED spring of 2020. Dean Hurt is very supportive of this class in real estate. We developed the class in 2010 and 11, and I taught it at that time. I graduated from what was then the School of Environmental Design in 1979 with my master's degree, and I went to work immediately in the appraisal business, real estate appraisal. I had taken a lot of my elective classes in the business school at that time, Terry School of Business and Real Estate. Started a company called Metro Appraisals in 1988 and sold it in 2013, but that's not really what I want to tell you about today. What I want to tell you today is why landscape architects, urban planners, and historic preservation professionals and students need to understand real estate. And real estate is defined as land and buildings that are permanently affixed to the real estate, and that would include trees and landscaping and other things. And virtually any project you do as a landscape architect, urban planner, or historic preservation planner will deal with real estate. Everything that you see behind me, not the sky, but the land and buildings, is all owned by someone. The mountains themselves are owned by the U.S. government, generally being national parks and open space. Everything else is owned by individual people, groups of people, real estate investment trusts, corporations, etc. And the projects that we work on are associated with a lot of times those owners. So one of the very interesting things about Boulder, I was born in upstate New York, and my family moved here in 1962 when I was 11 years old. And Boulder then was about 30,000 people, including the University of Colorado. Boulder is now 100,000 plus people. It is the third most expensive city in the United States, I believe, trailing only San Francisco and Manhattan. I guess Manhattan's a city. And one of the questions would be, why would a place like Boulder be so valuable? And this morning I ran into an old high school friend who lives here and then actually inherited a small property, almost a 70-year-old house on a half an acre, and he had an offer for it last Christmas for $1.6 million, and those buyers would have then torn the old house down. So his half-acre lot here in Boulder is worth $1.6 million. I looked at a very nice home up on the hill here yesterday that they wanted $5.5 million for, and it wasn't that big. It did have a very nice view. So the question is, what is it about Boulder, Colorado? Is it the setting, which is incredible, the weather, which is fantastic, the fact that the University of Colorado is here, the National Center for Atmospheric Research is here, the National Bureau of Standards is here, IBM moved outside of town in the early 1970s. There's a lot of high-end employment here. Maybe it's all of that. But those same characteristics that influence Boulder influence all real estate, including wherever all of you are from. It's interesting that the textbook that I want to use in the class is called The Principles of Real Estate. And the only true principles, there are probably a lot of you know there are design principles, the principle of repetition and other things. There are principles of economics. There really aren't real estate principles until you get into real estate value. And there are 10 or 11 specific principles, and a principle is defined as a fundamental law. I like that law, fundamental law. One of the principles of real estate value is the principle of highest and best use. And in real estate, in order to be the highest best use of a piece of property, it has to be a use that is legal, it has to be physically possible, it has to be financially feasible. I can't just go out in the middle of a farm field and build a Hilton hotel. And it has to be maximally productive, meaning it has to produce the highest value to the owner. And there's an interesting debate about whether that last requirement includes all long-term environmental concerns. And that would be a good subject for a conversation in class. It's also interesting to me that the principle of highest and best use applies to people, especially to students. And I would offer that a lot of you students are trying to find your highest and best use. And that is what you're doing in school. And it may be your highest best use is to be an urban planner or a landscape architect or a historic preservation planner. And again, I offer to you that fundamental real estate knowledge will be very valuable to you in your career, not only in your career, but also in your personal investment. Many of us, our largest investments of our lives is in our homes. And I'll explain to you how all that works, as well as the real estate development process and other things. And some people, myself included, and my wife, had the opportunity then, after we bought our house, buy an office building or two. And so real estate knowledge is very fundamental in your professional practice and in your personal investment. Now behind me over here, look right down here, is called the Pearl Street Mall in downtown Boulder, Colorado. That was Pearl Street. It was closed, I believe, in the 1970s. It is arguably the most successful urban mall in the United States. It's extremely successful. The other day I was here on Sunday, and it was very active with people singing and selling various things. There were 2 or 3 art shows going on. It is a beautiful example of historic preservation. Many of these buildings are up to 200 years old. Urban planning, which was what was required. Landscape architecture is part of the urban planning. And also public-private cooperative working together. Is that the Boulder government is known to be, let's say, persnickety. And they were very cautious with how this project came together. And then, of course, the thing that makes it work is that all these buildings, it is about a 10 or 11 block long mall. All the buildings are rented. They produce income that supports the entire mall itself. So it's a beautiful example of urban planning, landscape architecture, and historic preservation at its best. I'm gonna stop talking now and hopefully splice in some of the video from Sunday that'll show all of you all the mall, and hope that this discussion will be helpful in terms of encouraging you to take this class and read the syllabus and talk to some of the counselors about the opportunity to learn about real estate. Thank
for me.